In January 2024, Jurgen Klopp announced that he'd be leaving his position as Liverpool manager at the end of the season. He'd held the job for 9 years, and in that time, he had brought Liverpool Football Club back to where they belong in the ranks of world football. However, when Klopp called it a day, it seemed like Liverpool fans were set for a transitional couple of seasons. Liverpool had dreams of winning a quadruple to give Klopp a proper send-off. However, this quickly fizzled out into just a League Cup title. They pursued both Xabi Alonso as well as Ruben Amorim to succeed Klopp in Anfield, but failed to secure the signature of either manager. Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Trent Alexander-Arnold had all become parts of the Liverpool fabric throughout their respective years at the club. They were all set to be out of contract at the end of the 2024-25 season, and there were no solid plans to renew any of them. On the 1st of July, 2024, 45-year-old Dutch manager Arne Slot, better known as Arne, was appointed as a successor to Jurgen Klopp at Anfield. It was news that led to mixed reactions from Liverpool supporters and joy from rival fans. A little-known manager with zero experience in the top 5 leagues, taking over one of the biggest clubs in the world, as well as taking over from one of the most successful football managers in the 21st century. Many believed that things were falling apart for Liverpool. Not me, though. I made this video last year, and pretty much called everything, if you want to watch it. After you finish this one, though. Fast forward a year, and they could not possibly be more wrong. First of all, I don't want to downplay any of Slot's achievements. Feyenoord were a solid top 5 team in the Dutch league when he joined the club in 2021, and he ended up winning an Eredivisie title, a Dutch Cup title, as well as going on some decent European runs. This is perhaps what caught Liverpool's attention. Not only was he winning silverware, but he knew how to transform a team. And not only did he know how to transform a team, but he did it by playing fast-paced, attractive football. Jurgen Klopp will live on as Liverpool legend forever, and what he achieved for the club will never be overstated. However, even he would be the first to admit that Liverpool needed a bit of a revamp. He even kind of admitted this in his farewell video. Liverpool had an incredible squad, but needs someone to take a new approach to it, all while making the most of the squad and maintaining Klopp's winning culture. Slot was the perfect choice for this. Similar to Klopp, a major part of his tactics includes catching the opposition off guard with a quick, swift counterattack. The main difference is when Klopp did this with possession-based pressing, Slot prefers to utilize long-range passing from players who are also acting as an anchor. It's a perfect balance of using Klopp's foundation to your advantage, as well as revamping the squad with a new approach. Slot may have taken over from Klopp, but he has something in common with his predecessor. They both became the first managers from their respective nations to win a Premier League title, or any English league title for that matter. Although this may seem like just a fun little fact, it's deeper than that. It isn't a coincidence. Every nation has their own way of playing football. This means when managers find a way to bring their own style of play into a nation, it can catch the rest of the league off guard and produce incredible results. No Spanish manager had won the Premier League before Pep Guardiola arrived at Man City, and now he has 6 to his name. I'm not saying that hiring managers from a nation that doesn't produce many Premier League managers will guarantee results, but it can work while taking advantage of them in the right ways. When you think of Dutch football tactics, the first thing you probably think of is total football. Important elements of this include a high defensive line, as well as aggressive pressing. It's these traditional Dutch ways of playing the game that Slot's added his own spin on that creates his signature counterattacks that appear to sweep up the pitch. If you ever heard anyone say that Klopp's Liverpool was heavy metal football and Slot's is more of a symphony, this is why. It can be soft and even subtle at times, but as long as the right players are utilized, it gets results. Which brings me to my next point. If you want to bring Dutch football to England, it's incredibly helpful to have a Dutch player in each area of the pitch. It's no coincidence that Ryan Gravenberch and Cody Gakpo flourished under Slot. Slot's go-to formation at Feyenoord was a 4-2-3-1. The only way this formation works is if you have a versatile holding midfielder in the bank of 2, someone who can win the ball in the midfield, distribute it in an attacking sense, as well as carry it up the pitch. Slot knew that Ryan Gravenberch was a man he could use to get his tactics across at Liverpool, and the 22-year-old had a breakout season under Slot. Klopp didn't always know where to put Cody Gakpo, and even tried him out in the midfield at one point. He seems much better suited to Slot's system, and has 23 goal involvements in all competitions so far this season. The only way any sort of high-pressing tactic can actually work is if you have a solid defense. Luckily for Slot, he is one of the greatest centre-backs in the world at his disposal, who also happens to be Dutch, and the captain. And I'm not saying the entire reason Slot succeeded his first season at Liverpool is because he had 3 players that come from the same bit of land as him. But when you break down the technicalities of his tactics and why Gravenberch and Gakpo have been doing so well recently, you can start to see the connection. On the 27th of April, 2025, Liverpool defeated Spurs 5-1 at Anfield. In doing so, they clinched a 2nd Premier League title and 20th English League title, leveling the record set by the club whose name we don't say. Not even a year after he was doubted by countless fans, former players, and members of the media, Arne Slot had become the first ever Dutch manager to win the English Premier League and the fifth ever manager to win the Premier League during their first season in English football, joining the likes of Antonio Conte, Manuel Pellegrini, Carlo Ancelotti, and Jose Mourinho. Not bad company, if you ask me. Now, as unreal as the past week has been, I'm not going to act like it was all smooth sailing for Slot ever since arriving in Merseyside. I'm sure he could have done without getting knocked out of the FA Cup by Plymouth, losing the League Cup final to Newcastle, and getting knocked out of the Champions League to PSG on penalties. It just goes to show how difficult being a football manager is in England, as well as how extraordinary it is to win the Premier League title after your first season. Of course, there's still work to be done, but at the end of the day, Arne Slot has emerged from his first season in England as the finest team in all the land, just 9 months after many believed the league would be too challenging for somebody of his experience. Yes, he inherited a great squad, but he also won the league after making just one signing, with that one signing being Federico Chiesa, who's yet to start a game in the league this season. It's been a historical season for the Red Half of Merseyside, and one that will offer plenty to build on for years to come. And it was done with some revamped tactics, acknowledging those who came before you, and a bit of Dutch connection.